Good evening, and I want to welcome. Good evening once again, and I want to welcome all of you to this training program. I will suggest that you all mute yourself. I don't want to mute you in case you want to pass very important information to me. I would suggest that you mute yourself. Yes, please do not. I can hear an echo from my end. I will resolve that. So, I know what is happening because this is being streamed live, and that is why you are hearing me once again. It is being streamed live on YouTube, and we need to conduct ourselves in the proper manner so that everybody listening to us will have the ability to hear us. Once you try to disturb this meeting, I will just take you out of the meeting. I think that is the right thing to do. These are very mature level of students on training, and I will expect that you should adhere by the rules by ensuring that you keep yourself muted at all times. Of course, if you are not prepared to be here, you should not be here. But now that you are here, we must make the training session very seamless. Once again, I want to welcome you, and we just go to the business of the day immediately. I will be muting everyone, and in a way that you won't be able to unmute yourself so that we can have a seamless training. There are two categories of persons here: our set of conversion students and the MSc students that have just completed their seminar defense. What I'm about to do tonight is to first of all take you through the process of using our newly developed examination portal. It's going to be interesting, and I think the best you could do for yourself is to listen very attentively. I will be sharing my screen. I think that will grant you the opportunity to understand the basis of what we intend to do. Shema, I'm at a meeting, sir. I will call you, sir. I will get back to you, sir. So the basis of all of this is that when we begin the new examination system, it is not going to be a very totally different portal for all of us. And I'll be sharing the screen. And what I'll be doing right here is that I'll begin by taking you to the website. It is called csc.lasu.edu.ng/lemma. Once you get to this URL, the next thing to do is to click enter. And on entering, you will see this interface. This training session is important for the conversion students because this is the portal where they will write their continuous assessment test. We are not going to gather together in a small hall because of the concerns of COVID-19. The government has said we should do so. And the university has approved that we are going to continue on a blended learning. So when the opportunities are there, we do physical, but we will not waste time to agree to the new normal by still doing virtual. When you get in here, ladies and gentlemen, you will see LASU Online Examination Manager. You will see several options, beginning from allowing you to start exam and to generate a docket. it is interesting to know that what we have done here is that we have just simulated the physical exam system, whereby you have to provide a docket before you can get to the exam hall. But for sake of emphasis, the first thing to do at the time you are starting your exam is to generate your docket. And of course, it is right to note that the docket to generate at this time is the same docket that will be used all through the exam. So once you generate a docket, in the subsequent exam, you may not have to generate another docket, because if you generate the same docket, unless you have been asked to do so for security reasons. Now, if you come in here to request to generate a docket, but before I go down there, let me just tell you about this system. We have this system that supports objective and subjective assessment. It means that your conventional OBJ exams can be done on this lemma. The theory exam can be done here, because in this instance, we are going to write theory exams. We have intelligent remote invigilation with image surveillance, and I will be glad to show you that. When you begin to write the exams, we have a system that will monitor you and get the images, the video recordings of what you are doing. So we are seeing you real time. And what this means is that before you start your exam, it will request that you must put on your camera. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, it's also very important that I tell you that if you do not on your camera at this point, you will not be able to write the exam. I have logged the meeting, so no other person will be able to join at this time. Now, if you do not enable your camera, you will not be able to continue with the meeting. But you'll notice that my camera is already on because I'm using Zoom. So my camera will not just be initiated if I start the exam. Of course, after the exam, there's a detailed report of exam fraud and malpractices. It's an intelligence system. And what it does is that it records the voice environment, the audio environment around you, wherever you are. It takes remote still images and upload it alongside your exam papers. It takes video recordings, and invigilators are looking at you real time. One thing that will also save you, so that I won't let you waste your time when you are writing an exam, is that this system will not allow you to search. You know, you are online, and as computer scientists, what is obvious is that you just, because you are online, you can quickly say, open another window and search on Google. You can't search for anything. If you open a window outside the window of your examination template, the system will automatically log you out. We warn you for the first time, and the second time you are off. Of course, you will not have to waste your time, because even if you copy from a website, you cannot paste on the platform. It is a platform that has been developed with the consciousness of the 21st century system. That being said, I will now go to the docket system. All I have to do here is that I will have to just put my matric number. So what is important is that before you go to exams, you must confirm your matriculation number with your postgraduate coordinator. Your coordinator will give you your docket, your matriculation number, in case you don't know it. So let me try with 11100 as a matric number. And this is it. This is my docket. Of course, if I have a picture on the system, to bring my picture here, and this is my PIN. So I will just copy my PIN like this. My name is Abba Elagua Michael. I'm in 800 level. I'm doing computer science. And the exam I'm about to do, which is a course I've enrolled for, is CSC 822. So once I have done my docket, I have generated my docket, copied this PIN, because this PIN, you must copy it. That's why I have highlighted and copied it. It will be required at the time I'm starting my exam. I just come in here and start exam. So remember that now that I have clicked start exam, you see that it has changed. What we had here was home and start before. Now we have home and docket. So it expects me to put my PIN here. But before that, let's quickly run through the system. What you require to write exams online are access to the internet and a webcam-enabled computer. It means that if you do not have a webcam-enabled computer, ladies and gentlemen, this is a computer science department of 21st century. And if you remember, back to back over the last 5 years, we've been winning the Don Etibet Best Computer Science Department in Nigeria. So we cannot go back. You cannot use a computer that is not webcam enabled. So that will not be an excuse. In the last 10 years, all computers that have been manufactured by all the manufacturers has always been enabled with webcam. So you must come with internet and a webcam enabled computer. Now, the instructions is that only the exam pin on the virtual docket grants you access to write the exam, which we are going to show you. You are required to give permission for the exam portal to access your computer webcam for image surveillance. So when you start the exam, it will ask me to grant permission, so I will on it. You won't see the asking process now because I'm on Zoom and I have already enabled my camera. So I'm using the same camera. So it is not possible you now see that the camera, the system will prompt it up because the camera is already in use. The exam must be completed in one sitting as only one submission is allowed. So if you are writing the exam and you leave, it's a very beautiful work. And you leave that you submit, you want to pause, you cannot pause. Just like what you have in the exam hall. You do not go outside the exam hall. You ease yourself. Some of the questions that have come up is that, how about if I want to ease myself? You ease yourself. If you have medical conditions, you have to tell your coordinator and the HOD of the department before you write this exam. So if you want to go and ease yourself, they can understand you're easing yourself. And there's going to be a medical report that will back that up. So you have to make sure that you submit your answer script before the time lapses, because if the time elapses, you won't be able to submit again. So I'm going to paste the pin. This is the pin I copied from my docket, and I will start exam. Ladies and gentlemen, very easy to do. This is the exam docket. So this is my name. I was giving my credentials, so I can start the exam now. And once I say start exam, you see it brings me here. If you look at it, what do you have here? You see my time. I have 151 minutes left. And the exam we end at 11:58. This is the exam I'm doing. This is my name. So you have to verify that all of these things are correct. Of course, because it's a computerized system, it will never be wrong. Very interesting. I'm sure you'll be excited that you're using this system. So this is the question paper. The first question is that a research study was carried out, blah, 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 blah. And what you are supposed to do is that we have to now find the report and just scrutinize the research study and bring up what you think is a contribution to knowledge in terms of management. What you have to do is just come here. Once you have read that, you just come here. There's an exam space here. You see that this is the question. The question is here. You read the question. Because I'm on Zoom now, let me minimize it so that I can see what I'm doing. This is the question. So you now come here, exam space, and you say number 1. Let us assume that the question is that contribution to knowledge in terms of a noun. We now say the major contribution to knowledge is that we observe that the instinct that we observe that the formula will not converge to 0 as earlier speculated. You go to number 2. So you continue to answer the exam question like that. Then you now say 1, 2, 1, 2, depending on what you have answered. And you try to submit. But before I submit, I want to do something. If you submit, it will tell you have submitted. But I want to do something before I submit. Now, let us assume that I want to come to this place, and I want to just say, okay, I want to say, I have gone to another page now. I'm trying to just, okay, and I've come to another page again, then I'm back here. You see, it has given me warning now, warning, suspicious activities. Lemma Intelligence has declared that some strange activity on your browser. Do know that this will be logged out after if this continues. So I just say, okay, let me just try it, and I come back here. Then what happens again? He has suspected me twice. Then I think I might be in trouble because my attempt to just come back here again and come back here, you see that it's reloading, he has logged me out. He has logged me out because of what? Because I was about to go to another browser to cheat. So I click docket again, and I'll I paste my docket. I put my matric number again. Okay, I think I want to start the exam. Okay. I think I use 11100. Yeah, so I have to start the process all again. I collected my docket. Then I come and start the exam. Then I put my PIN. What I want you to note here is that now that I'm starting the same exam, I'm having the same set of questions, but the answer that I wrote earlier has gone. So if you try to cheat yourself, because the system will actually play back on you, because all the answers you have provided will just disappear. It means that if you have a 1 hour exam and for the 45th minute you have tried to go and cheat using a copying from a browser, it will recognize that and delete everything you have said because it will log you out. It's an intelligent system that is as smart as human. Of course, human will always be smarter, but it's trying to just emulate human. You know that, thank God they are computer scientists, and you know that what we do in computing is to build our knowledge into the system. So that is how it is. So if we say we now answer this, and this is my answer, okay, let me just provide a very reasonable answer. The name is perfect. And I submit my answer. And I said, I have only answered one, and I submit my answer. It said, exam street submitted successfully. I click, and it takes me out. Ladies and gentlemen, and with that, we have come to the end of the training. I will now open the doors for questions. I will want to take questions, and if you have questions, all you have to do is to raise up your hand. I'll take comments from you. So I'll take both comments and questions, and that will be it. So Dada Samuel will go first. Please, if you have questions, raise up your hands now, please. After calling the name of the persons that will ask the questions, I will not be answering any other question again because time is fast spent, and I still have to take some time with some of my students. Another question, who else is going for a question? Okay, so I only have Dada Samuel here. So Dada Samuel, unmute yourself, please, and ask a question. Unmute yourself, yeah, fine.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I would say I must commend the management for this initiative. It's a great one, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, my questions may be 3 in 1. The first is, are we going to be bringing our pass? Okay, are we going to be writing the exam in the school facility?
Dada Samuel, enable your camera, please.
Okay, sir.
When you talk to me, you put your camera on, yes.
Okay, but it's dark, sir.
Don't worry, just go for it.
Okay, sir. So are we going to be writing it in the school facility?
No. I just go for the answer straight away. You are writing anywhere. Okay. That is why we have built those level of intelligence. You are writing anywhere in the world.
Anyway, okay. That answered the second question, which is, are we going to be using our personal computer? And the third one is there our exam starting this weekend?
Your exam will start on the night.
This weekend, sir. This next weekend.
Exam starts on the night.
Right.
Of course, we can only propose, we pray to God that we have everything in order. We are ready to make you do your exam so that we can face those things that are important.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. That will be all.
That's excellent. Any other question, please? So in the absence of any other question, so I have a question, but I can't raise my hand. Okay. What is your question? You raise your hand. If you are using it, just go to more. You can see your participant. You will see raise your hand depending on the devices you are using. Suraj Mohammed Sonny, post it here. Don't worry. Just post your question here. Ajanaku, but I gave you an option that you must, if you want to ask a question, raise your hand from beginning so that we can know the number of persons that are asking questions. You need to work with time. Akijaku, why are you just raising your hand where you're supposed to have done so? Yes, go for your question. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a quite an interesting. I really like the application.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. You are really your effort is being acknowledged, sir.
Well
So
done.
another I want to is I don't know, as the exam is starting on Friday. I wish we can have the timetable to help us to be able to.
Yeah, there's a timetable that is subsisting. There's a timetable that has been released earlier, but you also be given the timetable and share with
Okay,
your
sir.
HOC. The timetable is in the order of the courses that have been listed, the order by which the course has been taught. So you have your timetable, no issues at all.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All the best, yeah. And on that note, I want to congratulate you for the successes you have made in the areas of your defense or of your seminar. And I want to, I know that we've been told about the challenges about payment, but please, you are encouraged to do the needful. And that being said, I can tell you to leave the meeting at this time. For those conversion students, you just wait behind. So I give you just 2 minutes to leave the meeting, and that will be all. Good evening. So I want to welcome you to this class, and I think it's a pleasure to have you once again. What is important is that now that this class have started, it must continue the way we expect it to go. One important thing is that you should just get ready, get prepared, that the efforts that we are putting in place is just to ensure that we give you the best level of knowledge as required. And that being said, what is important is that you give us feedback when you think there's a need for you to have further clarifications. You remember that you are graduate students in a way, and that being said, it is just important that you also understand the peculiarities of your studies. What we'll be doing tonight is to quickly go through a material that will be very useful to you going forward from here. And what I would do is to get the material and share it. And once that is done, I'm sure it is going to be one of your fallback concept notes. So I've gotten the material. and I'm sharing the material with you. And I will start with the asymptotic analysis, essentially the runtime. So let me go for it. Yes. Please take note. If there are questions, we are going to concentrate on these, and I'm sure your exams will be coming forth from here. So it's a 60-page material, but I'm going to draw your emphasis to page 1, to content of page 5. Yes, seen. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you. I can see that. From page 5 to maybe 10 pages. But just, I will be putting your attention into the areas that matter. We must understand what we call the running time. Running time, let me tell you an example of a running time. The time it takes for you to start cooking your rice to the time you complete the time it takes you to drive from Lagos Island to Lagos mainland is the running time of that process. So then is sequentially the way the step-by-step procedure of carrying out a scheme. That is the steps you take in fulfilling the righteousness. Now, when you talk about the running time, so when you want to have an algorithm step you take in doing something, so there must be a thing that is to be done. So for example, let us look at this lecture, a class. And now I want to have the class. So the time it takes me to execute this class by teaching you from starting the topic to ending the class and saying good night is the running time. So the time it takes to execute a process. But what we are trying to do is that we do understand that there are 3 cases that can exist when you talk about running time. You can have the best case. The best case is the case you have when you say Usain Bolt should run in a 100-meter race. That's the best case. The average case is the case you have when you have this Jamaican runner that runs, or the American runner that runs alongside Usain Bolt, that just an average guy. He will not come last. He will also perform well. It's admissible. And the worst case is a scenario. You know, you use the word worst case, but most times, if you are not a computer scientist, you don't really understand the context of which this word is being used. When you say the worst case, let us assume that we have gone to a restaurant. Or because it is evening, let us assume we've gone to a bar to have a bottle of beer. The best case in that algorithm of drinking beer is the time it takes, the running time it takes for the person that drinks fastest. That is, they gave him the bottle, he opens the bottle, and in a gap, in just 2 seconds, that beer is finished. That's the best case. The average case is the normal guy that takes a sip and maybe take a sip and take a meal and discusses and everything. That's an average case. The worst case is that person that will slow, take his time, answer phone calls, take a sip, wait another long time. So maybe when the person with the best case is on the 6th bottle, he is just on the 1st bottle and be a responsible drinker. That is the worst case. But you know, in planning in life, you plan with the worst case. So the worst will allow you to determine the maximum permissible time that the algorithm can take before it is being executed. And that's why we say that most algorithms transfer input objects into output objects, because they are the steps that you take. But you know that if, for example, it takes me 2 minutes to eat a plate of rice, if I'm to eat 7 plates of of rice, it will take me much more than 2 because as I am slower. So that's why we are saying that the running time of an algorithm typically grows as the input size increases. So if the input size is 1 plate of rice and I eat for X time, when the input size grows to like 10 plates of rice, it's going to also grow 10 times the rate of growth. Because it is not, if you notice, I'm not saying 10 times, 10, it's always going to grow directly proportional as the input size grows. Of course, you know that the average person, that's why I was using the case of the American runner, it's always very difficult to determine. But in order to avoid risk and reduce risk and just be at a safe point, we usually consider the worst case. All of these cases are what we call the asymptotic analysis. What are the purposes of the asymptotic analysis? These are areas we must pay attention to. It is used to estimate how long a program will run. It is used to estimate the largest input that can reasonably be given to the program. It is used to compare the efficiency of a program. And this is very, 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 very necessary. Comparing the efficiency of a program is very, very, very crucial. And if you really want to understand how this works, you will want to see situations where, peradventure, you are trying to determine what happens between two algorithms. And what you find out is that you want to know which algorithm to use. You are developing a model, and there are two algorithms to exercise this model, to execute this model, ladies and gentlemen. I am streaming this class live, and that is why it is here. I'm streaming it live on YouTube. So for those of you that will not catch up with this, you can also catch up with this on YouTube pages. And this is what we'll be doing in order to make sure that everybody keeps tab of what is being done and most appropriately. Now, so you can help you to focus on the part of the codes that are executed the largest number of times, and you can choose the algorithm that is best used. So this is a simple algorithm that tells you about how the input size is related to the time the algorithm takes in execution. Of course, you are going to experiment this later, but there are some limitations because it is not directly proportional. And you know that some inputs are dependent on the type of model that you use. So it is always very tricky to interpret. So you cannot say because it has worked for a particular set of input, it's going to work for all those inputs in that category. Our first, we use that this algorithm uses a high-level description of the algorithm instead of an implementation. And what we use as characterizing the algorithm is the running time as a function of the input size, n. So the input size is n, and we use that to determine the running time. Of course, remember that we just told you that as the input size grows, the running time also increases. And of course, when you are looking at these, you take into account all possible inputs. And one great thing that we must not take for granted is that the type of system or hardware or software you use and the environment for implementing the algorithm also matters. If you are using, and look at it now, there are some of your colleagues that cannot even connect to Zoom because they are using a very, very old system that will have to update all the applications that are there before you can even connect to Zoom. But there are some of you that on the tap, your system is up and you are good to go. So you will look at some primitive operations, which is in the area of the basic computing performance, and look at the examples of them. And we must be able to write this operation, which is very simple. I'll be explaining this to you in our next and last class. And you can use that to explain the estimated running time of this. I think with this, we are good to go and we'll be fine. So our emphasis is going to be from page 5 to 12. Let me see if I have anything. No, page 5 to 12 is fine. I don't have anything for page 13. So that we can know the worst case, the best case, and the average case. I know I have had a class with you that I told you about the definitions of those cases and the asymptotic growth, and that is where we'll take it from, where we'll see the next class. So that being said, I will now make some announcements. Then I can take questions by either by chat, or if you have a question, you can raise up your hand. But one other thing I must tell you is that I will be sharing a set of practice test questions, I say. So a colleague of yours called me. She was asking me about the area of concentration in terms of exam. I want to add that I'm a teacher. I know what to do. I know how to teach. I know how to, I should not be advised by a student on what to do. It is not acceptable at all. It is, when the next time we see, I'll mention the name. It is not acceptable. Nobody at any time should advise a lecturer on how to teach a student. We have you as the best interest in our mind. So let us hold it at that. I will be fine. I'll be sharing some practice questions with you that can help you brace up yourself in preparation for our tests and examinations. If you have questions, please raise up your hand as I'm about to close this meeting. I'll be having a discussion again on Tuesday, maybe the same time by God's grace. Then we can call it a good semester. Any question, please? Any question, please? If you have any question, you can call, we can go for it. I'll be willing to answer your questions if there are questions to answer. And in case there are no questions, things it makes it easier to call it a day. So mute yourself and go for your question. I'm listening to you, please. Emmanuel, go for it.
Hello, sir.
Emmanuel, nobody can hear you. Nobody. You can only hear yourself. Nobody can hear you. If it's
Hello, sir. Are you hearing me now, sir?
Please. Yes, great. Perfect. I can hear you now.
All right, sir. I was asking if we are going to get the material used tonight, if we are going to get it so that we can use to practice along, sir.
Yes, I'll get across to you. Page 2 to page 5 to 12. I'll get it to you. And that will be
all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All the best. Okay, good night. I have taken please take attendance of the 9 persons that are here. It is important. Attendance is part of this continuous assessment, and let me have the attendance as soon as possible. Thank you very much. On that note, I wish you all the best, and I will stop the meeting at this time.